The Final Furlong Podcast is proudly brought to you by Jeff Banks Bet. Get up to £500 refunded as real money for new Jeff Banks online accounts after your first month of betting. Use promo code FFP500 at jeffbanks.bet.
Welcome to the Final Furlong Podcast. We are previewing the major races at Aintree, including all the big grade ones and final answers for the Grand National as well. Adam Mills, odds checkers Liam Firkin and George Gorman here alongside me as we preview all of the grade ones at Aintree, beginning with the EBC Group Manifesto Novices Chase Grade 1. I have to say the races at Aintree this week really roll off the tongue. Not. Django By, the Arkle winner, is your 5-2 favourite. Crow Park is a 3-1 shot over the intermediate trip, having been saved for this race. Impere Pass, who disappointed at the DRF but did so the previous year and bounced back with a win at Aintree. Will he do the same thing? He's 3-1. And Gidley Park, a 6-1 shot. Handstands may very well go elsewhere, although he is jocked up for this race, so it's an option for him. Adam Mills, let's start with you. Manifesto Novices Chase, what do you think?
I'm in probably the very small minority that thinks Django Bay should be running at 2 miles, and I think actually the 2 miles is what brought out the improvement. I'm not sure I'd necessarily want to lump in his favourite, although probably his running the Arkle is the strongest piece of form. Croke Park, I was really sweet on him. I think they made a big mistake by not going to the Brown Advisory. They were scared of one horse, and that horse turned out to be a donkey. So it's just backfired a little bit. He jumps really well. Gidley Park jumps really well. Handstands, if he runs, jumps really well. I've kind of come round to the idea, if I'm going to have an each-way swing, it might be Rubo at 14s. I thought Rubo, 2.5 miles at Kempton, seemed to bring out a bit of improvement for him. Stayed on really well behind Lotus at the time before. Thought he's quite solid and likely to run his race. Probably a little bit of each-way value, but it's just such a messy race because I sort of feel like Django Bay shouldn't be here. I think they've got in their heads about the finish. Times, he's a sprinting finish. He had loads of gears. It was a clever ride by Nico. I just think it's going to be a little bit messy, and for that reason, Rubo might be quite a solid option to run his race, but it will be a very small stake.
Okay, 4 of the last 10 winners won this race on the back of skipping the Cheltenham Festival, coming in fresh. He went to Kempton. He was very good that day. And as you said, might very well have improved for going up in trip as well. And the form with Lotus Sud isn't exactly bad. He ran a big race in the Arkle. It just wasn't quite good enough. Liam Firkin, what's your thoughts on the Manifesto Novices Chase?
Well, Adam, you're going to think I'm an absolute madman because I have put up and punted, and he's still available at 33-1 Django Bay for the King George. I think he really wants a stay-in trip. I think it was his engine and his staying ability that got him up in the end of the Arkle. I like the fact that he's going up in trip here. He's a little bit short, I think. I do agree with Adam from that perspective. I think Impere Pass is really interesting coming in here. Gidley Park's obviously had his form franked with Caldwell Potter going on to win the handicap that's been reintroduced at Cheltenham. I've fallen in love with him a little bit, Emmet, and I think Django Bay wins.
Oh, fair enough. Okay. Well, I mean, look, that form has been massively boosted. Springwell Bay, poor old fella. Like, he was massively impressive in a grade 3 handicap. We know what Caldwell Potter went on to do. So his form has been massively franked. And Nico de Boinville really still couldn't understand how they got beaten at Sandown. I'm somewhat in two minds with him. I think he's fine over 2 miles, but you could be right. The stamina is the thing that really seemed to kick in for him. And the fact that Nico took that decision to bring him back and then use that stamina towards the end of the race is probably what won it for him. So it's a very intriguing one. They're going to stick to 2 mile 4 for an hour, go up, I should say, in distance, but let's see how it plays out. George Gorman, for you, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I'd be of a similar mind. I think Django Bay is probably too big a price here, to be honest. I thought it'd be a fair bit shorter. Like, you're talking like 11-4 about the Arkle winner. Like, in a horse that looked like he wanted further last day, getting further. If he can improve from an Arkle win, then he ought to be beating this slot, really. Similar to Adam, I really hoped Croke Park would show up in the Brown Advisory. He didn't. Wouldn't be as keen on him over this trip. Certainly not at 5-1. Be a bit skinny. Handstands would be of interest, but I think he's near enough favourite for the Mildmay, and he's 6-1 for this. If I was going to put in a bit of a mad one, an each-way price, I do like the Kaluki Kid. But he beaten a length on Chase debut by Doyen Dubar, who in a handicap who's now £11 higher. He was comfortable winner of the Scottish Champion Chase on his last start. he was receiving £5 from Saint Segal, but that was, while he doesn't win very often, he's a very solid older handicapper, and I think to be giving him a very comfortable hiding on just your third chase start could suggest this horse is very progressive. He was fine over hurdles. He was like a mid 120s horse, but he's up £15 in 3 starts over fences. If he can take another step forward here, he might just squeak in a place at 25-1.
Okay, I like that. I think his brother is going to be very, very talented. Game of Inches, the bumper horse for the Willie Mullins camp. We'll see what he does next season. I think Imperi Pass wins this race. He disappointed at the DRF a year ago, bounced back with a win in the Aintree Hurdle. Bob Ollinger has franked that form massively by winning the Stairs Hurdle. Can't really explain what happened at the DRF this year, but I'm willing to excuse that performance, and I think Good Ground will bring a better performance from him as well. He's 1 from 1 on Good Ground too. He's a very, very classy horse. Brilliant novice hurdler, dual Grade 1 winner. Grade 1 winner in Open Company over hurdles last season. Winner at Aintree. Back to this track. He'll be in the winner's enclosure, I think, and 3-1 is fair with Jeff Banks' bet. The juvenile hurdle is going to be a real cracker. Luamba. Oof. I didn't really buy into the hype of Luamba, but I very much do now after that massive run in the Triumph Hurdle, and Nico de Boinville is probably still wondering why did Willie Mullins run 11 horses in that race. He is the odds-on favourite with Jeff Banks' bet, 5-4 on. Lady Vega Len is a 4-1 shot. Live Conti continues to shorten in the betting and is now 6-1. Very interested to hear what Adam has to say about him. Naturally Nimble is a 14th shot. And has Hello Neighbour come out? Oh no!
Yeah.
He has! My goodness, the Cromwell team have taken out a horse who would have been suited by a flat track and would have gone close, but we don't have to think about him anymore. He's gone. Adam Mills, what can you tell us about Live or Live Conti, whichever pronunciation, and who is your overall pick for the race?
Oh, it's difficult. Live Conti's a real springer in this market. He won the Prix de Kildare. That form is pretty strong. Would have been better if Lars Ack had ran a Hurdle, but I'm putting that down to inexperience and the fact they weren't really doing anything more than getting him to have a bit of experience. But Live Conti's a very talented horse. The debut at Auteuil was really good. The race at Wetherby was probably the worst juvenile hurdle run this season. It was really bang average. He didn't have to move. Harry Skelton straight away afterwards was like, well, we came here. It's a soft option, but it gave him a bit more experience. And then we'll go to Aintree. So this has been the plan. Can Live Conti put it up to Luamba? I think he can, but I've no doubt Luamba is the best horse in this race by distance. It's just whether he's got over the Cheltenham race less than 3 weeks later. And I also think Luamba would appreciate soft ground. He's quite a big lad, and he just looks to me like he'd rather get his toe in. I think the lively ground might have done him at Cheltenham, rather than, I know he got chinned by some 100-1 shot that we'll probably never see again, but to me it looked like he just couldn't let himself down entirely on the ground, but he's seen off East India Dock well enough. Nothing else from that Triumph is going to reverse the form. I don't think I want to take 4-5 because I think the ground's against Luamba. Live Conti's definitely interesting. The other one who's just a mad price, maybe he's not going to run, is Mambo number 5 for Ben. I had this horse pigeonholed as slow as a boat from his French racing, but I was probably wrong. He's found a yard of pace. Ignore the run in January. That was just schooling in public, effectively, to get him fit. But he rocked up and he won that Adonis on merit. Really good turn of foot when it mattered. Aintree's going to suit him. He's probably another one of these French breds that would appreciate the ground being slightly softer, but I don't think he should be 33-1 on the back of it. If I had to have a bet, I'd go each way on Live Conti because I just think there is a chance Live Conti could be a superstar. He hasn't shown anything to suggest he's not, but Luamba, if he runs to his Cheltenham form, is hard to beat.
Yeah, I would agree with all of that, particularly your thoughts on Live Conti. I am just copying and pasting what you've said and going with you because you're the French racing expert. But certainly the talk about that horse was, but don't be downplaying yourself. The talk about that horse was very, very real at the start of the season. And it's interesting that they've chosen this race instead of Cheltenham, and it was up in the air between the two. Mambo number 5's form has been boosted and let down by 2 horses this weekend. St. Pancras won as a heavy odds-on favourite in a race that he was just much the best in. Savignon, that project is just not working out at all for Mr. Nichols. He pulled up at Ascot at the weekend. Okay, Liam Firkin, your thoughts on a juvenile hurdle that has become somewhat more interesting for me with Hello Neighbour gone?
Yes, the 3 horses that Adam has mentioned are basically the 3 that I was interested in. given the fact that Tony Bloom's let one of his own horses go off at 100 to 1, he must be in the 1.5% of Flutter customers who can't get a bet on, because he's a very shrewd man, isn't he?
Would they be active accounts, Mr. Flutterman? Would they be active accounts? No? Oh, okay, Mr. Flutterman. My goodness.
That said, obviously, Live Conti is Skelton's evidently held back a few, hasn't he, for this meeting, just to get him over the line, I think, for the Trainers' Championship. So he was certainly on my radar. But the one I'd definitely be punting, I think, would be Mambo number 5. I thought he was quite impressive at Kempton. George would probably be better to give us a steer with regards to, obviously, the form line between Lalamba and him. But yeah, at 33 to 1, I assume he's been held back for this, that they were pretty much the words that Ben Pauling mentioned prior to the Cheltenham Festival. So yeah, Mambo number 5 would be the one for me as an each-way punt. He's got a bit to find on official ratings, but yeah, I thought he won very well the last day.
Okay, so how forward was Mondo Man in that race that Mambo number 5 won? And what did you make of the fact that he then let the form down in the Triumph Hurdle? Or did he? Did he just not run his race that day? What's your overall assessment of Mambo number 5?
So first time out, he certainly wasn't fit when he went to Ascot. And at Kempton, he'd have been ready to run for his life, but he just pulled his chance away, didn't he? It's hard to say, like, really, if he did more wrong at Kempton than he did at Ascot. But Ascot's certainly a worse track to be pulling hard at than Kempton is. It's really, really hard to know what to make of it. But as for Cheltenham, I don't know. Maybe it's just not suiting him hurdling. I don't. If I knew the answer to that, I'd be doing the training, wouldn't I? But
that's why we have horse psychologists, George, and the horse psychologist is on his way to Gary Moore's yard now to sort things out. Don't worry.
Yeah, no, I stick to 12-year-old make things easy.
And Larry back in the winners' enclosure over the weekend, where George and Larry just absolutely toyed with their rivals in a point-to-point. Those who dared to oppose you learned their lesson very, very quickly. Okay, so who are you with?
I'm going to be with here. I would have been with Hello Neighbour, but I didn't realise he'd been taken out. I've got as my backup, like if there's one of these that can take a big step forward, it might well be the Fred Winter winner. Put your hands together. Like, he looked like he had a lot in hand that day. He'd be worse off at the weights with some of the horses that ran in the Fred Winter that are running here as well. But he beat them all far enough that day. It shouldn't matter. If he beats all those horses, he's only got to take a small step forward to place. And you're getting a reasonable price about him. Will he beat Lalamba? Probably not. Can he beat Lady of Vega Ellen? I'd say possibly.
I thought Hello Neighbour was a cracking each way bet at 5 to 1 for this race. Yeah. He beat Lady Vega Ellen twice, and then she turns the form around with him. Therefore, he didn't get up the hill. She did. He didn't. Yeah. But look, it's academic now. He's not going to run, so there's not much point in dwelling on it too much. Naturally, Nimble's interesting. He might be really well suited to this ground, and possibly they've decided to keep him for this race. But geez, Lamba's just much the best horse in this race. Adams kind of scared me with his thoughts on the ground. I might just follow in Mambo number 5 and hope that Ben Pauling has him right and that he's able to improve significantly. But you'd imagine Luamba will just kick this lot out of the way if he's all right, and if he handles the ground, and if he does, then he should take an awful lot of beating. To the bowl chase, the 255, where Jeff Banks' bet goes Grey Dawning as your favourite. He's trading currently around about a 9-4 shot with Jeff Banks' bet. It's 5-2 about Spallan's Tower, who was sent off favourite for the King George, and we haven't seen him since. Mark Walsh will ride. Stage Stars 5-1. Gaelic Warrior is still in the betting at 6-1. Embassy Gardens has been shortened to 8s, and 13-year-old Sam Brown thrown into this race to prove a point to the handicapper, I should suspect, having been raised from a mark of 152 after being ridden by a claiming rider who was taking £10 off his back to a mark of 156 at the age of 13. Good job there, BHA handicapper. Good job. Okay, there's plenty of also-rans from Cheltenham as well. We've got Protectorat, Jello, and Hoy Senor, who goes really well in this race the last 2 years, but he is coming into it on the back of a fall. Adam Mills, what's your thoughts? I
did toy with the idea of a Hoy Senor, but if form figures PPF. The alarm bells are ringing there. You shouldn't really be touching them. That being said, I was struggling a bit with this race. I can't believe I'm leaning towards Stage Star, but I just wonder if Stage Star's been like, Paul Nicholls has just looked at this race and thought, we're not going to Cheltenham with this horse, but lots of other people won't go to Aintree because they're going to Cheltenham, and maybe we'll pick something up. Thought that run behind Long Press was a sign that he was kind of slowly coming back to his best. This track will suit him much better. Bit of a dirty each way bet because I don't think there's that much depth in this. He might find Grey Dawning or Spillane Tower just a class above him, but he has had quite a quiet campaign. It's like they've been building to something, and he's got an official rating of 163. He is a 160 horse on his day. Just whether this is his day, but I thought he was probably a bit more exciting. Spillane's Tower, I can't work out what the campaign plan was. It seemed like they went to Kempton and then they went, oh crap, what do we do now? And it's like a bit, I know, all right, obviously Factor File bolted up in the Ryanair, but wouldn't you have done something with him? I don't know, I'm not sure. Maybe that JP's team just looked at this race, well, that's the plan, but it wouldn't excite me. A Grey Dawning, I don't like Iroko, so I can't really like Grey Dawning. I'm not convinced that rattling fast ground will be ideal for him either. So Stage Star is the kind of horse I've landed on and hoping that Paul Nicholls has got a plan.
Yeah, it's a concern for me that Grey Dawning was beaten at this meeting a year ago as well when he was so heavily fancied. Maybe coming in fresh will change things. Liam, what's your thoughts? That's you, Liam.
Oh, sorry, you froze on.
Oh, apologies. Damn you, Starlink! Elon Musk, what have you done?
I saw a statistic about last year's Aintree Festival. So 13 winners from the 21 races had skipped Cheltenham and were coming in here fresh. Unfortunately, that doesn't narrow down this field at all because there's so many of them who skipped that meeting. I'm of a similar mind to Adam with Stage Star. I don't just want to rabbit or repeat exactly what he's just said, but I was actually a little bit surprised when I looked at the official ratings that he's rated higher than Grey Dawning on official ratings. With Spillane's Tower, I don't think they'll come here, so I do think there's value if you take a price now, kind of further down the market, based on the fact that Jimmy Mangan had mentioned how much condition and weight that he'd lost travelling over to Kempton. Whether that was excuse making, whether that makes a huge difference, I wouldn't really know. Obviously, I don't train horses, but evidently it must have had an impact and perhaps he didn't travel the best. But yeah, Stage Star, I thought he travelled really in the Cotswold Chase, and it wouldn't surprise me if Paul Nicholls has a really good Aintree after given the year that he's had so far. There's been obviously a lot of mud slung in his direction. And yeah, he loves to win on Merseyside. So yeah, Stage Star would be the same for me, and I think the Muggy each way bet on him, I don't think he'd be going too far wrong. He's
run 7 times off a break of 60 days or more, 3 wins off that layoff, 1 place as well. Stage Star is a horse that the two boys really, really like. I'm pretty certain that Spillane's Tower does run. Now, one point of interest is it's 70 days plus since Jimmy Mangan had a winner. The counter to that is he's only had 11 individual horses run all season in Ireland, and he did win the Grand National. So it's not like he can't get a horse ready to win in the UK. He can. My note of concern with him would be the Ryanair was the plan, and then he didn't line up. So obviously they've won it, and maybe they just went, well, we've got Factor Fall for that race. We don't need him. We'll just keep him for Aintree and win there. And if that has been the plan, then he's probably the horse that's going to take all the beating, particularly with the red-hot Mark Walsh on board. So there's a lot to like about him, and I would think he should be favourite over Grey Dawning. And well, the McManus team know where they stand with Iroko, so if the money comes for Spillane's Tower, don't be surprised. But
given the fact, Emmet, that they were a little bit concerned about ground in December at Kempton, though, being a little bit too quick for him, surely there must be even bigger concerns, given that
I was going to say the same.
Yeah, currently. That's an absolute concern, for sure. And your horses who ran in the King George have got a good record in this race, irrespective of where they finished. But he still did finish 17.5 lengths behind the winner, Banbridge. And it's not like Banbridge or Relais Francais both advertised that form at Cheltenham either. So, I don't know. He's got the single best piece of form, that's second to Factor File with Galopin de Champ in behind. But that run requires context. Galopin de Champ is just not right at Punchestown at the start of the season, aside from that second season chasing, when he was young and they were going for it, and he wasn't experienced over 3 mile trips. Yeah, I'd have a slight question mark or raised eyebrow over him, but I do think he's going to be favourite. And if he runs his race, he'll take a lot of beating. But this good ground is going to change things significantly. George, for you,
very similar, really. Racing Post actually rated Stage Star's last run as his level best with his Paddy Power win. They gave it an RPR of 169. Whether you believe that or not is obviously, but it's a sign things are going in the right direction, as Adam said. Interesting, I sort of dug into his Aintree form because he's not won a race around Aintree yet. He's been there 4 times.
He's the second top rated by time form.
Yeah, is he? But he's, at Aintree, he's been 3rd, pulled up, last, 4th. The pulled up and the last were when he had run at Cheltenham beforehand. The 3rd, where he's beaten a length and 3/4, and the 4th, where he's beaten 3 were when not running at Cheltenham beforehand. So obviously this year he goes there having skipped it. Should be a positive, and like I said, there are plenty of holes you can pick in the top of the market. I don't think he'll come here, but if Protectorat did come here, I think he'd have a chance. Like purely, he probably won't because Grey Dawning's in, but he actually ran very well in the Ryanair. The only reason I say he could come here would be they might think it looks a fair bit easier than the Melling Chase. But yeah, I wouldn't like to comment until we know one way or another. But certainly, if they weren't in the same yard, I think both would be running. What was the other one I was going to mention? Sorry, I'm all over the place.
Has
today.
Willie Mullins revealed his running plans for Aintree yet?
No, I don't think so.
Gaelic Warrior would be a massive player in this race if they come for this. And surely the best thing to do is run Embassy Gardens over 2.5 and let him bolt along in front and just go, right, well, that's what he was talking about on New Year's Day when he won at Tremor. Like, we've been running him over the wrong trip, let's go back to intermediate trips. And then they ran him against Gallup on Deschamps over 3 miles and he got beaten out of sight. Like, Gaelic Warrior is completely unexposed over stamina trips. If you can stay 3 miles in a grade 1 at Punchestown, you can stay 3 miles over fences at Aintree. And he's too slow. Like, Ilete Tomp was murdered by Gaelic Warrior in Limerick. And then Ilete Tomp beats him for speed over 2 miles at Punchestown. So this is in and around, like, intermediate trips at least. But if you really want to try and win, go extreme. Go 3 miles. He'd be a major player if he was to line up here.
Those form lines, Emmet, are based on which way around they're going, though.
That is a very, very good point. But the counter argument would be he bolted up in an Arkle.
True.
I just think the Arkle's the outlier. If you look through his form, it's so far above on ratings anything else he's ever done.
Yeah.
Like everything. He might have won plenty of graded races. Every RPR he's had is below 160, other than that Arkle, which is 172. Everything else is between. I think everything else is in the 150s, bar the Fred Winter defeat and the unseat behind Factor Far. Every 150s, which says to me he's a good horse, but he's not a great horse.
Yeah, that's a fair point. That's a good counter. He got a high RPR of 158 for slamming Aphidelphia. Like, he bolted up by 10 lengths that day. Maybe they just got confused when he won the Arkle and they went, oh, he's a speed horse. But he's not. He's a stamina horse. And they were talking about running him in the Stairs Hurdle the next season. And then they went, oh no, we'll go Brown Advisory. Oh wait, we'll go Turners. Oh wait, no, he's going to win the Arkle.
Favourite for one year.
Yeah, it's just so confusing. I think if he rocks up here, he's very, very interesting. George, who's your final piece of analysis here?
I was just because, similarly to what I think Adam said as well, Ahoy Senior actually shaped for a long way in the Gold Cup. Like, I sort of half believe Lucinda Russell in that he's turned inside out until I see otherwise. I didn't see anything that day to show that he hadn't. But you're not getting enough juice in that price. If he was the sort of price he was in the Gold Cup, I'd take a swing on him, especially round Aintree, because he does love it round there. But I've enough to back him at 7-1.
So none of us really like. I do like Splan's Tower, and he might just outclass this field, but I'd have major concerns about the ground for him. Grey Dawning the same, and the fact that he was beaten at this meeting on this day a year ago, that's enough to make me a little bit concerned as well. So, George, are you on the Stage Star train as well?
Yes, yeah.
Jesus, guys, I really didn't think you were going to persuade me about this, but you all have. If Gaelic Warrior lines up, I'm backing him, but who knows? He's pretty weak for the Melling chase as well on the machine. By the way, the machine's dead. Betfair's dead. There's no money traded on the anti-post betting for Aintree. None whatsoever. So looking at that for a guide for what's going to be happening at Aintree is kind of bloody pointless. Anyway, let's look at the feature race of the day, the Aintree Hurdle, where we're going to see the return of Constitution Hill. I was going to quote prices, but they've changed. Here is the updated betting from the Jeff Banks Traders. Constitution Hill, winner of this race 2 years ago, is your 6-4 on favourite. Lossiemouth 7-4. And then it's Wadu, who may very well substitute for Brighter Days Ahead, who'll go to Punchestown instead. She's gone into 9s. Kitzbühel, who is a good winner at Goran Park. 5-year-olds don't have a good record in this race if you believe those kind of stats. He's 16s. And the Coral Cup winner, Jimmy DeSoy, at 25-1 shot. Adam Mills, is Constitution Hill going to get his redemption and another Grade 1 win in the Aintree Hurdle? Or could he be softened up?
He could certainly be softened up. I'm not convinced 2.5 miles is his trip. And go back 2 years. I watched that replay today. He's on fumes as Sharjah is running him down.
Yeah.
Absolute fumes. And if you remember, after that Champion Hurdle, they went, oh, maybe we could go straight to the Gold Cup. That lasted 4 furlongs in the Aintree Straight. Endo went, right, that's 2 miles. It was obviously a good play. So you have to be worried about whether you really want to take 4 to 6 about a horse who's probably at his absolute limit. I'd imagine it'd be unlike Willie Mullins to throw several darts and annoy Nico de Boinville, but probably Kitzbühel runs to try and make this a bit of a test.
Yeah.
Certainly wouldn't want this to become a sprint. And I think they'll try and make it a test in the hope that Lossiemouth will outstay Constitution Hill. Not really the kind of market I'd like to have a bet in, but you may remember a certain pundit put up Winter Fog to finish 3rd in the Champion Hurdle. As George put it, you got the maths completely wrong, but the result was right. And maybe there's a little bit of juice if Take No Chances runs here that she might run on into 3rd. That was a really good run in the Mayor's Hurdle, and it's been missed because all the headlines were Lossiemouth and they're all about her and Jade de Grugy. But those two controlled the pace. Take No Chances came out the pack. The time before that, she gave Carguess a beating at Ascot. And I know Carguess was a bit buzzy and a bit free, but she still beat her. She just can't win. She can't win. In my head, she can't possibly reverse the form of Lossiemouth. I don't think she can get near to Constitution Hill even with the trip. But surely, and she is jocked up with Harry Skelton, surely Harry Skelton isn't going to be sort of sitting on Nico's tail. He's probably going to ride her to get as much black type on her CV as possible and to get as much prize money as possible. I think she's better than the likes of Salva, Alto Belly. I think Kitzbühel will probably shoot his bolt. I think she's probably at least as good as Woodhoo. There's just probably a little bit of juice in her in that kind of finish, betting without the big two market, something like that. But again, it would be a small stake, and personally, I just hope Lossiemouth does it.
I do like it when you take a swing. 33-1 with Jeff Banks bet about Take No Chances. And I'm just wondering, did Adam Mills move that market? Potentially, possibly, because 50-1 was available.
I'll put my hands up. I will not back that to win. There'll be no each way bet. I'll just go place only, take it on the chin.
All right, because the 50s disappeared, but that might have more to do with the fact that Brighter Days Ahead has come out, to be fair. Liam, Constitution Hill. He was a stone cold certainty. All he had to do was turn up at Cheltenham. And lots of people agreed with me. He went off the 2-1 on favourite. He did turn up, and he got beaten. So is he going to bounce back with a victory here, or can Lossiemouth turn the form from Kempton around?
I would be slightly concerned as well over this trip. He was far from... Well, he just wasn't as impressive as he has been, was he, when he won this 2 years ago? A couple of bits of information that probably won't help people to solve this particular puzzle, but would do. I hope that she doesn't run here, and I hope that Gordon keeps her and she has a little bit of a flat campaign. She's rated 71 on the flat. She's off a real nice mark. She managed to notch a win or two, a Cesarewicz or something like that. So I hope she doesn't turn up for one. Take No Chances, I think, as Adam said, will definitely turn up. Obviously, you've got this David Power 500 grand pot that Harry Skelton's going for. He'll get a couple of points whether she finishes 4th, 5th, or whatever it may be. He's not a backable price. I want him to win. He's definitely the best horse in the race. Yeah, he's just not a bet. I just think it's the front 2, and if you wanted to forecast, there may be a little bit of value in that. It's a shame that Amsterdam's not obviously fit and come here. So I think this was his intention. I think that horse could be really special. Obviously, Adam will know far more than I on him, but yeah, it's a shame he's not here to throw his hat in the ring. Again, that doesn't help anyone currently. So yeah, Constitution Hill's be followed home by Lossiemouth, similar to Kempton.
Yeah, the quote from Adam Mills last week was, the info is Amsterdam's legs are like biscuits. So massive talent, incredible ability. Don't know if we're ever going to really get to see it at grade 1 level, but hopefully we do. Before George goes, I think this is really, really simple. I was massively, massively confident that Constitution Hill would win the Champion Hurdle. So much so, I backed him accordingly. Whoa, that hurt. Oh, that hurt a lot. He's backing up off a fall after 23 days. That's not a complaint. I'm delighted that Nicky Henderson is running him, and it's great to hear him talk about Punchestown. I'll believe it when I see it, but it's great that they're talking about that. 23 days off a fall for a horse who has always run off a layoff of at least a month. And you've only seen him 4 times since he won this race in 2023. He was massively impressive in the Champion Hurdle. He destroyed Zanahiyr. Zanahiyr got within 3.5 lengths of him in this race. Distance is a great leveler. This is going to suit Lossiemouth. She wins the Hatton's Grace, beats the dual winner of that race in Tihupu. He proves that form is red hot by going massively close, defending his crown in the Stayers Hurdle. This trip will suit her an awful lot better than Kempton did. And if she can't beat him now, then she never will. Do you want to take 7-4? Don't know. 2-1 was a little bit more attractive, but it's not that much shorter. I think she'll win. I think she'll beat him. George Gorman, settle it for us. Who's going to win the Aintree Hurdle?
Yeah, certainly. If I was going to be having a win bet, it'd be on Lossiemouth. Like she's not certain really even now that she definitely stays the trip, but she certainly stays it better than Constitution Hill. That'd be my sort of main way of looking at it. I can't add any more than what you guys have been saying, but I'm also massively interested in Take No Chances. I think, and I actually will be backing her each way because the race was so run to suit Lossiemouth. Like they went steady, and Lossiemouth was able to use her speeds and sprint away. This horse has come from nearly last, off a steady pace to finish 3rd. Got past Jetara up the running, finished in front of horses like what else was there? July Flower, who was obviously well fancied, Joyeuse, Carla Conti, guys like Enos. Like she shouldn't have been able to have done that from where she was positioned. And I like Adam, I think it's sort of been missed really. Can she make 9 1/4 lengths up on Lossiemouth off a quicker pace is the question. And I know for certain that she won't. And the fact that we have Kits Boohill in here will certainly make it very interesting that she'll get the race run to suit much more than she did last time. And yeah, like I'd leave the each way part of the bet in just purely from that angle, that surely she's got to be better running at a decent gallop as opposed to last time with the way that she's been ridden. But yeah, no, I'll probably have a small bet on Lossiemouth to win, but I'd back Take No Chances, sort of, split stakes, maybe a small win bet and a large place bet.
Well, my way of doing this is I'm going to be swinging for an each way multiple. And some of you are going to absolutely despise this, but this is the scummiest of scumbag each way lucky 15s. It'll be in Perry Pass. It was gonna be Hallow Neighbour because he couldn't be out of the first 3 and he might have had a chance of going and winning. It might be Liv Conti instead, but maybe you just throw Lowambo in because he's gonna win. Stage Star, you boys better be right. You better be right, you 3. If you 3 are wrong about this, if this Stage Star falls out the back of the telly and gets lapped, I'm gonna be so pissed off at the 3 of you. How dare you express an opinion and be wrong?
Me and George will blame Adam. He started it.
Yeah, it's all Adam's fault. Completely Adam's fault.
Yeah, delete the notes, Liam. We just copied Adam.
Yeah, if Stage Star finishes fourth, I'm like, that fucking Adam Mills, I had that race. So Stage Star and Lossiemouth, because I think she'll win. There's a very good chance. Distance is a great leveler. Giving him £7 is not going to be easy, particularly over this trip. So, look, I'd love to see him win. It'd be great if he does. Well done to him if he does. I couldn't back him after the last day. I really couldn't. And I don't know what that fall was going to have done to him either. But we might find out from Nicky Henderson in the meantime. Maybe. Possibly. The Hunter Chase. Or the Foxhunters. We're not allowed to call it the Foxhunters at Cheltenham. But we are allowed to call it the Foxhunters at Aintree. Well done, Aintree. Well done. The Rundocks Foxhunters Open Hunters Chase. I asked the panel, guys, do you have anything for the Hunter Chase? And immediately, Adam Mills and George Gorman went, yep, absolutely. So let's start with Liam Firkin. Adam Mills, who do you like for the Foxhunters?
I'll give you two. There'll be sort of small swings in this kind of race. The first is the 40 to 1 shot present and counting. Now, he is a summer jumper. Always runs over the summer. They've gone hunter chasing with him now. Had a couple of spins around Caderick. Hasn't really worked out that well. But I don't think he really stays 3 miles. But he can't get the ground hard enough. He'd love to run on tarmac, this horse. He's got really good form on good ground. Donald McCain has booked Derek O'Connor to ride, which I thought was pretty interesting. And 40 to 1 seemed a big swing. You're probably going to get extra place on the day. But my main fancy, if you watch this podcast when I'm on it, you'll know my admiration for David Maxwell. I can't let Joker de May go off at 16s for the Foxhunters.
Yeah.
He's only a 6-year-old. So this might come a little bit soon. But David Maxwell actually has quite a decent record over these fences. And if you watch last year's National, he got down to less than 10s in running, which shows sort of the calm he has. But the reason I'm interested in this horse, he's only 6, but he did win 2 4-year-old chases in France, including at Auteuil. So he'll have experience of jumping this type of fence and the kind of shape that's needed. Didn't really work out for him behind Angel's Breath. He was 3rd. But after that, he went on 21 lengths at Leicester. Now, it was a low-grade Class 5 race. He was probably entitled to do it. But he absolutely bolted up. He likes the ground. I think there's a very good chance he'll give Mr. Maxwell an excellent swing. Now, look, it's David Maxwell, so we don't want to get to the elbow in a driving finish with Derek O'Connor or anyone else. But he is going to get round, and in a race like this, that might be enough. And as a 6-year-old, he's probably got a lot more improvement than others. Harry Derham trains him. Anything north of 10 to 1 would be a pretty fair each-way bet. And
you can get 14 to 1 with Jeff Banks' bet about Joker de Moy right now. It's 40 to 1 about President Counting with Derek O'Connor on board. The David Maxwell fan club out in force. And the Final Furlong Podcast is a David Maxwell fan club member as well. So we'll be cheering on Joker de Moy. George, for you, who are you with?
Sort of copy and paste, really. I did. I also noted that Derek O'Connor was on President Counting. I made a small case for it in my head. I sort of thought I'd wait and see if that horse happens to move in the market, which may well do. I might well take up a stance on that. Joker de Moy, yeah, copy and paste everything Adam's just said. That'd be my sort of each way play on the race for now. And I think Famous Claremont's probably far too big a price as well. That'd be my sort of my win bet in this. It's hard to say that he's in the same form as he was when he won this a couple of years ago, but he's been trained for it, no doubt. Like, he wasn't seen until February in a Melbourne St Andrew point to point. Finished second to a nice horse in Take All, but he did finish off last year at Stratford winning. A bit horse called Imperial Esprit, who on his day is thoroughly decent. He was actually, well, I think he finished second to a very nice point-to-pointer / hunter chaser, whose name escapes me, Parham on Saturday. But yeah, I think it just smacks to me. He's been laid out for this all year. Will Biddick will get back on. He's just too big a price. Like, for one reason or another, hasn't managed to get back to Aintree since he won it. But I think part of it was probably trying to train him for the Cheltenham one, which just he doesn't stay. So yeah, but basically just re-listen to what said and chuck in Famous Claremont.
Okay. And Famous Claremont is a 9 to 2 shot for the Foxhunters, which we're allowed to call the Foxhunters.
Well, let's let George go first from now on, if that's all right. 'Cause I can see what's happening here.
We're all the same.
Oh.
When this goes wrong, I can just feel like this is all going to be, well, to be honest, I didn't have anything, but Adam seemed to know what he was talking about. So there you go, that's better.
This used to happen on the show before, you know. Oh, go to that guy first, will you? And then I'll sweep up afterwards. Okay, all right. Now let's find out what happens. Now let's find out what the opinions are. Do you want me to go to Liam first, George?
For the next race?
Yeah.
Yeah, can do.
Okay, so go to George Gorman first.
Where are we?
Okay, we're going to Friday. We're going to kick off with the Mildmay Grade 1 Novices Chase. Before I tell you about that, though, have you signed up to Jeff Banks' bet yet? If not, you get 10% of any net losses back after your first month of betting, up to £500. Wait, what's that? What's that, Trish? After your first 2 months of betting. After your first 3 months of betting, 10% of any net losses back after your first 3 months of betting. It is an offer you will not get anywhere else. And if you don't take advantage of that, well, then I really don't know what to say to you. Jeff Banks Bet. Sign up now using your promo code FFP500. Take on Jeff and get 10% of any net losses back after your first 3 months of betting at jeffbanks.bet. There's loads of bonuses, loads of goodies there for you as well. You can stream British and Irish racing on the Jeff Banks app and the Jeff Banks website. Lots of other money back offers and guarantees is there as well. FFP 500, jeffbanks.bet. Sign up now. Get your bets on for the Grand National with Jeff Banks and indeed for the Classics and the Flat, which we'll be talking more about hopefully on the Final Furlong Podcast in the coming days. And Jeff will be on for a special show on Wednesday where he's got a lot to say and we've got a lot to talk about on the podcast as well. There's quite a few things going on in British racing and he'll be getting all of that off his chest on Wednesday's special show. Right, this is I'm going to try and pronounce this properly and I know I'm not going to. Hoyton Asphalt Franny Blannerhassett Memorial Mildmay Novices Chase Grade 1. I hope I pronounced that in some way decently. It's the 1:45 on the Friday. And George Gorman, your thoughts?
Yeah, I took a view on this race that the favourite and the second favourite aren't crying out for a step up in trip to me. I thought Handstands beat Django Bay with speed at Sandown. Caldwell Potter, I'm not convinced that he's tough enough for sort of 3 miles just at the minute. Dancing City, we know now, doesn't want this ground. Like, we really know needs it softer than this. Landed me on Stellar Story because I was convinced that he was the same and that he needed a bit of a bog. And he's ran an absolute blinder in the Brown Advisory at Cheltenham. I think he's probably just too big a price here. I'd say he's a... To use your wording, Emmet, he's a cracking scumbag each way bet. He always runs his race. And the fact that obviously the ground doesn't seem to make too much difference to him when I thought it might. He'd be the sort of horse that I could trust here just to get your place money back at least. And if one or two of these don't stay, or Caldwell Potter could well have had a hard race at Cheltenham. Dancing City was desperately disappointing. Stellar Story taking the lot. And the other one that'd probably be place only. I thought She Could Be Anything ran an absolute blinder at Cheltenham. And it's a horse I've liked for a long time. Again, I think bar the Grade 1 she ran in December at Fairinghouse, she always runs her race. She always seems to manage to find a way to be in the 3. And actually, when you look through races, her rating always tells you she can be there and thereabouts. And she's always too big in the betting. So she'd be one I would certainly over this trip. Again, she wants this trip. She got beat 14 lengths by Dino Blue, but I'm not convinced there's much here that's got the same, that's achieved level of form Dino Blue has. So I would have a small place only bet on her. My main play would be Stellar Story.
Okay. Stellar Story is an 8-1 shot with Jeff Banks Bet as we record. Liam, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm not keen on the front two in the market at all either. I know Caldwell Potter has essentially won on kind of good to soft ground, but you look at his knee action, in terms of his most impressive performances, they came in that absolute bog where it absolutely chucked it down, didn't it, 2 Christmases ago. And even though he's gone and won that and won it well, I still couldn't side with him at 9-2 up in trip. Handstands, he's been campaigning quite regularly, going right-handed. Maybe that's just coincidental. Wincanton, Sandown twice. And you think, given the fact that I have so much affection for Django Bay, therefore, I'd be keen on him, given that he's franked that form. But no, it wouldn't be for me again. Dancing City needs about 12 miles in bottom of the ground. He's so slow. It's unreal. But then what to back? So I don't fancy anything at the top of the market. And then I'm struggling. And I'm kind of looking at Mayertown thinking how much more progression is potentially in this horse. Obviously, beginning a massive hike in the weights off the back of winning the Ultima. Potentially could still be on the improve. Boom Bum's another one that I'm looking at, but I'd be of a similar mindset to George in trying to find something further down the market. And I'd probably chance Mayertown. We don't really know what's left under the bonnet. Won by 11 lengths, absolutely bolted in. And I don't fancy anything towards the top of the market. So at a decent each way price, I'd probably be playing that.
Yeah, Handstands is very short here. I mean, there's no question he's a talented racehorse, and he's obviously beaten the Arkle winner as well. But 7-4? Oof. I mean, maybe. Good luck to you. I think 8-1 about Dancing City is completely the wrong price. And my theory is it's not so much the ground. He did win on good ground at Punchestown. He's just not a Cheltenham horse. Don't really think he liked Cheltenham in the Albert Bartlett, and I think he really hated the old course. Not even sure if they'd run him in the old... If that old National Hunt Chase was still there and Patrick Mullins was riding him, I'm not sure he'd have won that either. But Aintree, we know he can go well at. And he's already 2 from 2 over fences. That run was too bad to be true at Cheltenham. 8-1 is a fair enough price about him. I'll probably just about row in with him. But it's more of a price thing than anything else. This is a weak enough race, Adam Mills. Anything could happen. Who are you with?
Yeah, I don't really see what Handstands is doing over 3 miles. I'm not convinced about him. Coldwell Potter, I just can't. He's going to have to win 5 Grade 1s for me to be convinced that was the performance it looked like. I think it was 75% a brilliant and 25% the horse starting to show signs. I just can't have it. I'm just going to have a very small each way swing in this. There's an unbeaten mare called Don't Rightly Know from Polly Gundry. 3 from 3 over fences. They are rolling the big dice, but this mare's got plenty of ability. One on Chase debut at Exeter, beating Hertiti by 10 lengths. On just her second ever start over fences, she beat Appleway in a listed race at Newbury. And then she beat Melina Girl at Exeter the time before. Now, those 2 wins came on soft ground, but the first win was on good to soft. She also won a point. She's a 10-year-old, missed a lot of time. It's a bit of a swing, but if we take the handicapper's view, she's got an official rating of 144 and she gets £7 here. So that puts her up to 151 in this race. She's only got a fine £5 or £6 worth of improvement to be competitive. Still on the up, lightly raced 10-year-old. It would be a very small each way because I don't know where her ceiling is, but I think there's plenty of gaps at the front of the market. This is the kind of race you'd want to start the placement with 4 legs to make sure you get through. And there's a very good chance that she might improve a little bit more and get into the frame.
Okay, I'm liking that. You can get 14-1 about Don't Rightly Know with Jeff Banks bet for the first race on Friday at Aintree right now. Is the second race a little bit more easy to break down? We'll find out from the team in a second. Trusted Trader top novices Grade 1 hurdle. There we go. That's not even the race we're looking at, for goodness sakes. It is. We're skipping the handicap and we're going straight to the Grade 1. Romeo Coolio is the 5-4 favourite currently. I think that price might have just changed, actually. 6-4. My goodness. 6-4. Industry best price with Jeff Banks bet about the horse who was third in the Supreme Novice Hurdle. Fergal O'Brien's Triple E Flyer is a 3-1 shot. Johnny Burke will ride, and he was very impressive at Kempton the time before. Salvatore Mundi, all right, 11-2, and Diva Luna at 10-1 shot. George, who are you with for the Novices Hurdle, and is this going to be Gordon Elliott back in the winner's enclosure at Aintree?
Not for me. Like, Romeo Coolio ran well enough at Cheltenham, but I think Triple E Flyer, we just don't know where the ceiling is yet, do we? I would have been with him, certainly from an each way perspective at Cheltenham, had he shown up. He's been last twice. You don't necessarily know that he's beat all that much, but comes here fresh. And yeah, I think the case sort of makes itself, doesn't it? What one Novice Hurdler market raising, was it by 29 lengths, 11 lengths at Musselburgh, 7.5 lengths in the Dovecote. I just rather be with the horse. I don't know where the ceiling is, particularly given that he gets to come here fresh. If I was going to put one at a slightly bigger price, it would be Gaucher. It's not. Oh, it's English. Gaucher.
Yeah, the Mullins horse.
Yeah, the Mullins horse. Very impressive. Not the best grade 3 you'll ever see at Nace the last day, but won by 8.5 lengths. Very experienced as well. I think it's dual grade 3 winner, actually. He won a grade 3 at Tipperary back in October 24. Probably one of the more experienced ones of these, like the other side of the coin to Triply Flyer, could well squeak into a place at a double figure price.
Yeah, he was impressive beating Gorman the last day. That was before the Cheltenham Festival. And prior to that, he'd been very, very disappointing on his 2 previous runs. But sandwiched in between that is that grade 3 win at Tipperary. I thought he was the most interesting one in the field, particularly at about 10-1 with Jeff Banks bet. And I don't think it's impossible that Paul Townend will ride him either. I'd probably prefer to be with him than Salvatore Mundi. There's a bit of a question mark hanging over that horse's head now at the moment. Liam Firkin, your thoughts on the top trusted trader, top Novices Hurdle, grade 1?
Yeah, I put up as a selection over at Odds Checkers and obviously back myself, Romeo Coolio's an each way bet. I think he's obviously a very good horse, but I just don't think he's top class. And I think you can take him on in this. So from my perspective, it would be one of the British horses, which sounds a bit mental in a Novice Hurdle, to be honest, but Royal Infantry, I thought he was really impressive on his first 2 starts. I think you can kind of forgive the fact that he blew out basically in the Supreme Novice Trial, and therefore that's probably why they didn't bother going to Cheltenham with him. But I think on good ground, he was the first home 2 years ago, was it now, in the bumper, the first of the British home, which may not say a lot because he was 7th, I think, but he was the best of the British that day. But he was really impressive on his first 2 starts. I think the ground will be very much in his favour. And I think 20-1 or so, I think that he's probably a decent each way proposition. The other one that I like in here is Rubber Ball again at a price. Same ownership as Look Away with Neil King. Look Away ended up being quite a nice horse. We haven't seen much of him this season, sadly, but same connections. I wouldn't put anybody off backing him as an each way price either. But yeah, the main selection definitely Royal come from him.
Okay, and Adam Mills.
Yeah, I'm just not sure Romeo Coolio's got the minerals. I think he just got worried out. Now, the Supreme didn't go to plan. Clearly, they hoped Work Ahead would tow them a lot further, but the minute he hit the front, he started jumping to his right, and round that bottom bend, he wobbled. And he wobbled the moment Paul Townend came alongside him, and I'd just be a bit worried about him in a finish. It's probably not the deepest race. I'd certainly echo what Liam said. I think Royal Infantry on the good ground would be massively interesting. He's obviously going to travel really well. I would have put up Tutti Quanti, but he's in the conditionals and amateur handicap. Surely off 128, they go there.
They have to. I know Harry Cobden is jocked up here, but they have to go for the handicap, surely.
Surely they have to go there. It wouldn't be a race I'd be looking to have too much of a bet on. The one I'll be watching is Nicky Henderson's Charisma, 33-1. Not going to win this. Don't back it. Probably not going to place either. Nico's jocked up. Really, really strong AQPS flat form from France. Finished 3rd in the Grade 1 at Fontainebleau. Had one run for Nicky at Windsor. Windsor wasn't the track to go to, and it didn't really suit. She's now in that awkward scenario that we're at the end of the season and we don't want to ruin a novice status for no reason. So we'll just plod around in Grade 1s. This horse, if all goes to plan, should be running in the Mayor's Novices Hurdle in 12 months' time. And it's just worth sort of keeping an eye on to see how our development goes. If I had to have a bet, I would follow Liam with a small each way on Royal Infantry, but it's probably a race I'd be dodging.
Just out of interest, we don't have prices from Jeff Banks bet for the handicap hurdle. Aren't they just going to have his daughter ride him?
I would assume so. I don't know if he listens to the podcast. but I thought this horse ran a massive race in the Supreme and it was overlooked. So who knows? I mean, he's 25-1 for the handicap hurdle, which just seems a bit of madness. If I could find out where he was going, I might say that 25. But that's where they should go. But that doesn't necessarily always translate.
Yeah, I mean, I know Harry's going to want to ride him, but he can't win. Not the Grade 1, but he could win this. And what a great opportunity it would be for Olive as well. She rode a 50-1 winner the other day, and she's ridden plenty of winners. She'd be very capable. Massive opportunity for her. The price I'm seeing is 14s, but if you can get 25s about TT Quanti,
I'm sure Liam has an opinion of who wins that conditional jockeys race anyway, given
Go on, Liam.
Jazzy
Where are we at?
goes there off 125.
Is he going to run?
Oh, yeah. I certainly have an opinion, yeah. If he turns up here, it'll be one of my biggest bets of the season, which sounds a little bit daft, bet responsibly, but Jazzy Matty's off a mark of 125 over hurdles.
I couldn't believe it when I saw it earlier.
He's come out of Cheltenham well. Wherever he goes, he will be going either Fairy House, Punchestown, or here. Wherever he turns up, he's I don't want to say wheelbarrow job, but he's a wheelbarrow job.
Gamble responsibly, but do so with the wheelbarrow.
Gamble responsibly. Use the wheelbarrow so you don't hurt your back.
And if he
there you go.
loses,
Yeah.
just 10% losses back anyway from Jeff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're getting... if you have a tenner on, you get one back. There you go.
So if you take 10 wheelbarrows in, you'll still be able to get your one wheelbarrow's worth of losses back. Yeah.
At the very least, if you bring 10 wheelbarrows, at the very least you get one wheelbarrow back. And who knows?
And who needs 10 wheelbarrows at the end of the day?
Yeah, maybe you'll have 100 wheelbarrows. You might. You don't know.
This is like a tortured maths comprehension question. Sally has 47 watermelons.
He's 37 watermelons, and he gambles 37 of them. What's 10% of 30?
What does he win? Divorce.
If Liam has 10 wheelbarrows and he takes them to the bookmaker and Jazzy Matty gets beat, how does Liam explain it to his missus when they can't go on holiday next?
Oh, is this where they do that?
Tell her everything she needs to know.
This is where they do that past performance is not indicative of future performance and all that stuff. Gamble responsibly. BeGambleAware.org. 10-1's an absolute stone cold steal. Get stuck in for Jazzy Matty and forget all about TT Quanti. Never mind him. As long as TT Quanti doesn't come swinging along on the bridle, you're okay.
I would wait for him to be declared.
Yeah. Well, if he is 10-1's a massive price about that horse. If he is, in all of the mathematical equations there, I got slightly confused. Adam, your selections, please, for the Grade 1.
I'd have a very small play on Royal Infantry, but it will be very small.
Okay, so 2 for Royal Infantry, Liam and for Adam, both going for him. 2 of us going for a Gosher for Willie Mullins, who's on that sweet spot of 147, according to the excellent Paul Ferguson Weatherby's Cheltenham Festival betting guide, which also has all the Grade 1 for Aintree and betting guide trends for the Grand National as well. The past 3 winners were rated between 147 and 149. Gosher to hit the winners enclosure 10-1 with Jeff Banks bet as we record. The My Pension Expert, speaking of past performances, no indicator of future investments and pension plans, the My Pension Expert Melling Chase Grade 1 sees John Bon as the odds-on favourite. He is back to a track that he loves, and he is unbeaten at the Aintree meeting. He is 5-4 on with Jeff Banks bet. Gaelic Warrior, go 3 miles. If he turns up here, he's a 3-1 shot. Hardwood 6-1, Protector at 8-1. This is a very, very simple question, George Gorman. How far does John Bon win by?
I don't think we can't back him at 4-5 after the last day, can we? I just don't think we can.
And is there a concern about the ground?
There'd be a small concern. There would be a small concern. I just think it's just a matter of when you've seen a horse. Yeah, he did very, very well to go and finish second, but
he'd have been third if. Sorry for cutting across you. He'd have been third if Coelixius had stood up.
True, very true indeed. Yeah, I forgot about that. Thanks for that, Emmet. I think Emmet put Coelixios up on here for the Champion Chase in about October at like 40-1, and I followed him in. And I've completely forgotten about the slip until I saw him ranging upside.
66-1.
That was it, yeah, Jesus. I got the race completely. This is one of them. I'm not going to be able to brag about it on Twitter, but it'll be very nice, this one. It wasn't on the day selection. But yeah, I couldn't be with him after what he did the last day. If he goes and wins, great. I'd rather be with something at slightly bigger price each way. Having said that, the first one I'm going to mention isn't a huge price, but it's Protectorat, as I said about earlier. Ran very well in this last year. He was third in this last year, wasn't he? Behind Conflated and the other horse.
Behind John Bon.
But behind John Bon, yeah. Surely he's capable of finishing at least third in this again. I think he'll reverse with Hartwood from the Ryanair because he had the worst run round. I just think Harry Skelton was the worst sufferer of not knowing Jungle Boogie was going to try and make the running because he was stuck behind him the whole way and he kept.
Did George just get wiped out? He did get wiped out. Clearly, his internet service provider was just annoyed about him losing. Yeah, he's back.
Sorry, something's
Your
happened.
internet service provider was very annoyed at you losing out on Quilixios winning. Are you? Can you hear us, George? Can you hear us?
I can hear you again.
Come in,
Sorry,
George Gorman.
Off on my phone. Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry, but Harry Skelton kept trying to go down the inner of Jungle Boogie, and I said, like, why on earth is he doing this? The whole world and his dog knows that this horse jumps left. It wasn't until the post-race thing he said afterwards. He said, well, I couldn't go round his right because Protectorat jumps left as well, which I hadn't really appreciated before. I think we've seen him mostly running left-handed, but look, he still run a great race once he's got out from behind Jungle Boogie, but he spent so much of his race trying to get down that horse's inner. I can't believe he wouldn't have finished in front of Hartwood if he couldn't have got out. So yeah, I just think Protectorat's got a reverse with him. Makes me think he can be at least second to John Bon. The other one I give a small shout to is Liberty Hunter, the outsider of the field. If he goes here, he's unexposed at the trip. And he was towards the rear, but he was only 4 lengths down at Cheltenham when he so I think it was still too early to say how he was going to run that day. So I would have a small place only swing on him.
Okay, and Protectorat has won twice at Aintree from 4 starts and is a 4-time winner at the trip. Slight question mark might be the ground, but that might only be a slight question mark, to be fair. Liam Firkin, your thoughts on the Melling?
Yeah, obviously John Bon. Maybe it's just Cheltenham. Maybe it was a thing. A lot of people tried to pass it off that Cheltenham wasn't an issue. He'd been beaten by a very good Constitution Hill. Obviously, there's no shame in that. And he made obviously a calamity when he was beaten by Elixir to Nuts. But maybe it's just the undulations. Maybe back on a flat track here, he's just solid. He can just jump round and he'll be fine, but you can't trust him. And up to the intermediate trip, it wouldn't be for me at all. He only just got home beating Boot Hill. I was there at the track on the day. I think the October meeting, whenever the slower is, and he didn't want to go any further. That's for sure. I'll be back in Hartwood in this. I really like Hartwood as a horse. I think he's really progressive. If he lines up here, the trip's ideal. He's probably got some decent form in the book from the Cheltenham Festival. Obviously beaten a decent margin by Fatsfile, but I think he's still kind of on the upward trajectory. I think he's still probably got more to offer. So yeah, he'd be my each way play in the race. I just don't think you can trust most of the others in this field, other than the fact that George giving a shout out for the one at the very bottom of the market, a massive price. Again, I won't put anybody off that, but yeah, I wouldn't be backing John Bon at that price. I just don't think you can trust him. Or in the main, he has been very consistent. So it sounds a bit daft, but not for me.
Yeah, I don't know what I was doing mentioning the ground, by the way. That's complete and utter nonsense for me. He's 4 from 4 on good ground and was a good winner at Ascot the time before on good ground as well. However, he did beat a Energumene, who blew out spectacularly in the Champion Chase. And if you really, really, really look at what John Bon has beaten, do you want to go and back him against Gaelic Warrior, potentially, Hartwood, his old rival El Fabiolo, if he remembers how to jump, Liberty Hunter, we have no idea what he could be. Like, any of these horses could just suddenly turn up and run a massive race. Maybe maybe this is just a crowning moment for him and he's back in the winner's enclosure, and now we know definitively you're not a Cheltenham horse, son, but you are an Aintree one. Don't know. Adam Mills, settle it for us. Who's going to win the Melling?
I don't really want to be with John Bond going left-handed anymore. I think right-handed Ascot and Sandown are his bag. I just don't think he gets in the same rhythm. I certainly don't want to take him at 4 to 5. At no point have I looked at John Bond and thought, you know what you're crying out for is a step up in trip.
Yeah.
Just not convinced. He's got loads of speed, absolutely loads of speed. I don't really see what they're doing here. Why aren't you going the Celebration Chase at Sandown and just take your grade 1? I don't really get it at this stage, but maybe they're trying to experiment to see if the King George is on the radar. I'm not sure. I don't want to take 4 to 5.
I'd say that's what it is. I think that's what it is.
It could be. I don't want to take 4 to 5 to find out. I mean, El Fabiola is technically still the highest rated horse in this field. Not quite sure how that works out, but he is 170. Can't really trust him. I agree completely with Liam. I think Hartwood's just that disgusting £7.50 each way bet that you sort of slide over the counter and you hope no one's looking at, because it's sort of like, you know, there's a definite bit of value in him. You look at his form. He ran at this meeting a year ago over 3 miles, probably too far, 5 lengths behind. I know the way quite well. Then he beat Corbett's Cross 7 lengths at Wexford. Came back in the Drinmore, got done a neck by Croke Park. That's really solid form. That race didn't really suit the way it was run. 27 days later, rocks up. He's 4th behind Galloping de Champs in the Lexus. Then he's 2nd to Factor File. Take Factor File out. He's beating the rest silly. And he's beating Envoy Allen, who's a real Cheltenham stalwart, sets a good bar. Hartwood, I can't find a case for 3 horses beating Hartwood. And if he runs his race, he's going to be in the 3, so I'll quite happily take a bit of dirty each way there.
Oh, I absolutely love that. I can't find a case for 3 horses to finish from. Let's go, Hartwood. 6 to 1 with Jeff Banks bet. 6 to 1 for the scumbag each way players. Yeah, we absolutely love it. And if you have not signed up yet for a scumbag each way bet with Jeff Banks bet, jeffbanks.bet, use your promo code FFP500, get 10% of any net losses back after your first 3 months of betting. 10% of any net losses back after your first 3 months of betting. FFP500, jeffbanks.bet. Sign up now. Stream British and Irish racing for free on the Jeff Banks app and the Jeff Banks website as well, including the Grand National, as we're on to Grand National Day. The Mersey Novices Hurdle, or Turner's Mersey Novices Hurdle, to give it its full title, is the grade 1 to kick things off for us. 155. It's the second race on the card. I have absolutely no betting. Do note with interest that Luamba had an entry for this race as well. Just intriguing, but second guessing who's going to line up here. George, who takes your fancy?
Yeah, it's tricky this. I've got a little bit of betting here, but the ones that sort of jumped out at me when I was first there, I'll tell you the one that's a much bigger price than I thought it would be when I did my working for this. Jacob's Ladder. 20 to 1 shot. RPI of 133. I don't know if that's indicative that he's not going to come here. I don't know. He does have the other entry in the Sefton, doesn't he? So that would be the reason for that. I'm on the wrong race altogether. Sorry, what?
This is the Mersey Novices Hurdle.
Regent Stroll's in the betting. Just back.
Did we go by the Sefton? Did we just pass out the Sefton?
Isn't that still to come?
No. That's the last race on the Friday, I think you'll find.
Oh, we have.
Did we skip the Sefton?
Yeah, and the Topham.
Hold on. So the amateur riders race is the last race on the Friday, and the Sefton.
Four boys of Sefton.
Rewind. Can we do some sort of like dub house remix rewind there? Sefton Novices Hurdle. The 5 to 1 favorite is Kevion for Nicky Henderson. Jacob's Ladder 5 to 1, joint favorite with him. Mr. Megget, a 6 to 1 shot for the O'Neill team. Battle Born Lad 7 to 1 shot. Familiar Dreams for Gordon Elliott team. And Jet Blue, your old friend Jet Blue, 8 to 1. Is this redemption for Jet Blue, George Gorman?
No, surprisingly, I'm going to mention Jacob's Ladder. I was a big fan of him in his bumper days, and it took him a little, like he got well beat on Hurdle's debut by Work Ahead, but he's sort of progressed with each start over hurdles. Won a grade 3 and fairly comfortable style last time. And to me, he's a horse that's dying for a step up in trip. He's by Mount Nelson. I think he'll keep improving here and probably be too good for Caliphate on Vol anyway. And where's my other one? Is towards all over the place now. Sefton, Jacob's Ladder. Moon Rocket was my other one, who is 14-1 by Doyen. The second by Neck to Yellow Car was all right. The Southall Novice Hurdle one obviously wouldn't have been the greatest race ever, but he won by 8 lengths and obviously stepped up into Grade 2 company. Next time was only just beaten, like he's just been beaten by very little in these two Grade 2s. Actually, did Yellow Car actually ran all right at Cheltenham?
Yeah, fine. Yeah, a big race.
I think he's proven stayer at the trip. He's got graded form, and he's probably just a little too big at 14-1.
Okay, Liam, your thoughts?
Mr. Meggitt was quite impressive. Obviously, at Aintree, he'd probably be on my radar. But there's a couple of others at bigger prices that probably interest me a little bit more, Emmet. So Weighed Out, I think he's a really nice horse for Ollie Murphy. Yeah. Ollie Murphy kind of conceived the fact that he was running him over a much shorter trip than would see him to his best effect. Obviously, stepping up to this 3 miles, I think that he is of interest at 16. It's a bit to find on official ratings, but this time of year, I think he had a treble the other day somewhere in the country, Ollie Murphy as well. So obviously, his horses are going well. The other one's Western Knight. I know he's been beat by JetBlue, and that reflects in the prices. But I just think that potentially JetBlue just they went a bit steady in that Albert Bartlett trial, and he just got kind of first run on the rest of the field. He's a big old horse, and he continually kind of galloped, was never getting any nearer really. But yeah, Western Knight would be another one that's on my radar. As I say, a couple that do have a little bit to find in official ratings, but obviously they're novices. There's plenty of improvement in most of them. So I'd be avoiding them towards the top of the market, and it would probably be the 2 at bigger prices on my radar, Weighed Out and Western Knight.
Yeah, I think Weighed Out's a very interesting horse. Just on a side note, Celtic Dino beat him pretty comfortably earlier in the season. And since then, he's been a little bit disappointing. To be fair, one was a Grade 1, the other was a third to Tripoli Flyer in the Grade 2 at Kempton. Handicap debut, though, in the conditional jockeys race. And if for some reason Jazzy Matty is to be beaten, maybe Celtic Dino is the one who can do it. Mark of 132 with Dylan Johnston already booked to ride. I think he's very, very interesting. He's got plenty of experience on the horse already, so I'll put him up as opposed to putting one up for this Grade 1 instead. Mr. Meggitt would be the one that would interest me most, particularly with the course form. He's a horse I like quite a bit. Adam, for you?
Just the one in this, I thought this was really open, but I do quite like Battleborn Lad. I think Mark Wolford's done a really good job with him. Form from earlier in the season with Wendigos worked out quite well. Had a little break, came back, won the Grade 2 Albert Bartlett trial at Haydock, beating Moon Rocket by 5 lengths. I'm not convinced that there's necessarily a superstar in this race. I mean, you have to look. There's nothing rated above 140 yet, so there's plenty of room for improvement in this field, particularly at the head of the market. For that reason, I just think Battleborn Lad is probably a little bit overpriced. He's been backed a little bit this week already. If he was with, I'm no disrespect to Mark Wolford, but if it was a more fashionable punting yard, you'd probably find Battleborn Lad was a little bit shorter. So around 8-1, I think it'd be a small play on him.
Okay, that's fair enough. That race then, the Grade 1 on the Saturday that we're talking about, the Turner's Mersey Novices Hurdle. There are 7 horses in my tracker entered for this race. I'm not sure I fancy any of them for it. So George, very, very briefly, is there anything that you like in this race? Anything that stands out in terms of entries?
This would be brief for me because I don't know. He's obviously heading more towards the other target. I would have been interested in Romeo Coolio up in trip here. I don't think he goes. Blood of Assy is a horse I think is dying for probably even further than this. But it's just too short, I think, for me here. I would have expected him to be twice this price. At this price, I'll probably just watch him. It's really hard to say, and we don't know what's going to run, isn't it? Cocktail Divan has form with all the right horses. I say not knowing what's going to run, I'd say a tentative. If Blur de Vassy, if he drifted out to double figure odds, I'd have a go.
Okay, one for the shortlist if he drifts. Liam, for you?
There's a horse in here. I'm not sure if I mentioned him during the season. His name's Regent Stroll.
No, you never once did you ever mention him. He never came up in conversation. Tell us about this Regent Stroll. Who is this horse?
Well, we can bypass it, Emmet, 'cause I don't think he wins this. So we'll move on.
As far as I can remember, Liam, if I do some PR cover for you here, you told people this horse would win in March, and he won in March. You just remind everybody of that. Correct.
Yes, I did. So yeah, that's the only saving grace, to be honest. He didn't win at 100 to 1 mind. However, I labour on this one too much. He's basically just going to throw up the same two horses I mentioned earlier. For obviously the novice race, Royal Infantry will be on my radar. Rubber Bull potentially. I do think that Regent Stroll's a decent horse. Whether he's top class to win this sort of event, I don't think so. It'd be really interesting if a Lumber turned up here, but let's be honest, there's no chances there.
He mightn't need to be top class to win this, by the way. It's that kind of race. He might just go and do it.
True.
Horace's Pearl won the bumper at Aintree last year, and Conor Brace is already jocked up to ride. He might be able to go a little bit better, and I would imagine that his team have been preparing him for this race all season. Adam Mills, for you?
Yeah, it's quite a messy race. I'm sure, Liam's opinion is obviously valid. 12 wheelbarrows to win one, was it, at Wincanton, I think, then? No, it's a cheat. But I do appreciate the Horace's Pearl angle, but I don't like this idea of taking all these soft targets, because what happened, as happened with Dysart Enos last year, is your horse keeps winning, but it doesn't learn to race against good horses. And Horace's Pearl beat Lou Dore last time. Lou Dore's a nice horse, but he's not really a hurdler. And I'd just be worried about he's suddenly going to roll out, even in a weaker grade one. He's going to go from relatively weak, midweek races, and suddenly it's going to be like, bang, there you go. And as we've seen with Dysart Enos, it isn't that easy. So I'd be against that. If Cocktail Divan runs, I'll back it, because I think Cocktail Divan is a very classy horse. Couldn't really believe that got beat by Kate Doughty that it did. We'll try and pretend it didn't happen behind Kate Doughty, but Henry de Bromhead wasn't really right around the end of December and January time. Took a while to get right. And Cowabunga was all right given the yard form at the time. Came back, won a maiden hurdle on the 3rd of March. If they rocked up here, I think this horse needs good ground, and I think it's been running all right on soft ground. So I'm kind of optimistic that Cocktail Divan is still a grade 1 horse, and I would take 6s or bigger to try and find out in what I think is a pretty soft grade 1.
Yeah. You're going to look at trends that are telling you the average rating of the winner. I'm not sure that any of that's going to apply. And actually, if you look at some of the races in Cheltenham where ratings apply for novice hurdlers, there was a lot of horses that just didn't even fall into that bracket. It's a weak enough race and it can be winnable. You could very well have just hit the winner there. The Ivy Liverpool Hurdle, grade 1, 3 miles, half a furlong. There is no betting, except for this price from Jeff Banks Bet. Is he going to do it? Or are you going to do it, Gordon? It's not his profile. He's best off a layoff. Is he going to unleash Tihupu? Probably not. Probably goes to Punchestown. But if he does rock up here, 11 to 8 is the price with Jeff Banks Bet. Home by the Lee, 4 to 1. Strong leaders, 6s. The Wall Park is a 5 to 1 shot. Gwynnie May Boy and Kitzbühel, who also has this option, is 8s, but he'll go for the Aintree Hurdle. George Gorman, the Liverpool Hurdle, rerun of the stairs. Who's going to win?
Well, if I knew Tihupu was definitely coming here, I'd have no interest in the Wall Park. And if I knew he definitely wasn't, I would have a lot of interest in the Wall Park. It's one of them. Maybe I would have maybe the way to play is you back him each way at 6s now, and then if Tihupu does show up, you'll get your money back still, because he shouldn't be out of the first 3. If we're playing it, imagining Tihupu does show up, I would have 2 each way plays. Hidden Valley Lake, who looks like he's been sort of laid out for a crack at this. Like, he's been very sparingly raced since finishing 3rd in it last year, including that second by a head in the long walk, was it? I'd say must have been his target all season, so he would be one of my goes. And the other one, I think Jatara is a mad price. Like, this is she's been running well back over these trips. Like this year, like she won up over at Doncaster. She dropped back down in trip in the mares to finish fourth. I thought she ran very well considering, again, the pace they went, and she might well need 3 miles now, or certainly at least a strongly run 2 mile 4. And what the head defeat of Katira and the good run in the mares have in common was it was after the application of cheek pieces for the first time. So I think we could well see her continuing to hit RPRs in the 140s as she has done since she's had them on. And if she can run to 140, 145, she could well be placed at a bit of a mad price, really.
This is a confusing race. I can't imagine for a second Teahupoo actually runs. I really can't see it. But hey, if he does, it'll make the race very interesting. Liam, what do you think?
No, absolutely. And I think there's more value in behind him backing something in this race now as opposed to waiting for him to come out if he were to do so. Because obviously he's taken up so much of the market. Call me a madman, excuse me, but Maximilian, I know obviously you only had one run. There we are. After a massive layoff, but he was second here to Apple Away. I know that form hasn't worked out spectacularly, but was also the winner of the River Don. That's all he does. He just stays. At 66s or in and around that sort of massive price, I'd probably chuck just a bit of loose change each way at him for sure. Other than that, I just don't feel like you can trust most of the runners, to be honest, Emmet. Those at the top of the market, they run a good race the one day and then don't the next. Lee, for example, strong leader, second time up after a wind up. If people like that angle, maybe you want to go in. Obviously, he's a course and distance winner. The Wall Park, I think maybe another year, a little bit more maturity, and I think he will start staying this sort of trip. I was really keen on him for the stayers. So yeah, I'll throw a couple of quid each way at Maximilian. The other one, who on official ratings over hurdles, who's rated so much higher over fences, is Sounds Russian. Obviously now a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
He's one of the highest rated chasers in Britain. That shows you the state of British chasers, doesn't it? But yeah, it's maybe just a bit of loose change at the pair of those each way.
And I believe the plan is for Sounds Russian to go and run in this race too. Call me a madman. Montmoral. Fast pace, big field, could outrun his odds. He's 25-1 with Jeff Banks bet. He'd be the one that interests me. This is a far from inspiring race though, Adam.
Depends how you look at it. I'm quite inspired here, and I am quite inspired. One, I don't like Teahupoo. You know my feelings on Teahupoo. He's just Phelem's poor relation, but that's the way it is. But
How dare you?
He's just screaming out for strong leader, isn't it? Isn't it bloody obvious? They've tried headgear, different tactics, wind ups. He just wants a flat track ollie. He's won 6 races in his life. Warwick, Uttoxeter, Aintree, Southall, Aintree and Newbury. Best form has come at Aintree and Newbury. What are they? Flat. They keep trying, we're going to Ascot, then we're going to Cheltenham. You can see the horse don't like it. It's not right. Back here where he won last year, what he did at Newbury at the start of the season on a flat track was really impressive. It's all gone wrong, but I just think it's so obvious that he wants to be on a flat track. All of his best RPRs, everything has come on a flat track. Correct Cheltenham, and I don't think he needs to do anything more than he did when winning this race last year to win this, because I don't think Teahupoo will turn up, and the rest of them are what the Stayers division is, which is horses that are too high to run in handicaps and not fast enough to run anywhere else.
I'm going to do my best George Gorman impression. I absolutely agree. Second run after a wind up, he's going to improve immensely as well. This is the horse who's going to take all the beating. Strong leader is the nap of the meeting. I like that. Completely flip-flopped. We'll very briefly touch on the 2 mile Maghull Novices Chase. The Roscon Group, Maghull Novices Chase Grade 1. Do you know what? It actually is nice to see a load of major businesses sponsoring these Grade 1s and not all just brought to you by Betfred or whoever. This is good. Well done, Liverpool. Well done, Aintree. Well done, Jockey Club. It's good to see all these big businesses sponsoring horse racing. And why wouldn't they be? You should be. If it's good enough for Sonic the Hedgehog 3, then it's good enough for major corporations. Who's on your shortlist for the 2 mile Grade 1 won last year by Founder 50 George Gorman?
Yeah, I've taken the view on this that I would 2 horses that were probably that did too much in the Arkle, which are Lotus Hood and Touch Me Not. I think they're the 2 that probably over-raced and didn't finish off their race as they should. The enthusiasm would be gone now. There are 7 runners for backing Touch Me Not each way.
7 entries for this race on Monday.
Yeah, it's bad. Yeah,
This will be a 4-runner race.
Might be. You're coming out the other side of Cheltenham, and you've still got a 2 mile, a 2 mile 4, and a 3 mile Grade 1 Novice Chase at Aintree. When you're also dealing with, if you can't fill those 3 when we had all 3 of them at Cheltenham. Why have them at Aintree when horses have done their bit for the season? They're either being turned away or saved for something later.
Now, George, don't be talking about logical things. Don't try and have logic and reasoning and sound thinking. You're not allowed to do that, George. You're not allowed to question the narrative either.
So I think it's going to have to end up just being Lotus Hood. I think this ought to suit like flat track. His jumping hopefully won't. He did incredibly well to finish as close as he did the last day, given like how close to the sort of mad gallop he had sat. And I think he'll reverse with Only by Night, and basically there's nothing else in here to beat him. Is the way I see it. Maybe I'd chuck him in a small straight forecast with Touch Me Not, because that was too bad to be true at Cheltenham. It really was. He's miles better than that, and this track might suit him as well, because I'm not certain he's the stoutest stayer either.
Jeez, this is a desperate race. Gidley Park won't run because of the ground. Cave de Burley would need to start now.
Brookie's in the red run.
Special Cadeau is not good enough. And if he is, Jesus. This is desperate stuff. Liam Firkin, settle this amazing race that is run after the Grand National for us, please. If you can tell me what the final field of 2 will be, that might be enough.
Only by Night would be the one for me, I think. Yeah, as you say, it is desperate, isn't it? Gidley Park will be Khalif de Burley. Obviously been campaigning quite young over fences. Only by Night would be the one I'd side with, but I won't be having a bet on her. So if somebody literally wants to have a token gesture, a few quid on one, it would be her, should she turn up here. Yeah, I'll be surprised if Khalif de Burley and Lotus will go up against each other in the same ownership, but perhaps they will. It's a bit of a mess, isn't it? Sorry, I can't solve the puzzle.
No, I'm less than enthused about this now, Adam Mills.
It's not. No, if you've done your conkers or your wheelbarrows in the Grand National, you ain't getting out of jail in this, which is pretty bang over stuff. But I also wonder if a lot of trainers have forgotten this race is on. They're looking at the national entries. They've forgotten there's a Grade 1 after as well. Bonkers. Are we sure Special Cadeau is not good enough? I really don't want to be swinging at the 5:15 on Saturday afternoon, but I just thought it was interesting. Because he won at 66-1 at Turlers, it was kind of like, that was a bit of a fluke, and it got Henry off the cold list. But that was his chance. They've gone from trying handicap hurdles and maiden hurdles earlier in the season, straight over fences, blown the novice status. I almost want to back him in the case of what if. I think that Arkle was a really brutal contest. The likes of Only by Night and Lotus Hood look pretty legless to me coming up the hill. Khalif de Burley's not soft enough. I wish Gidley Park would run, but I don't think he's going to. I can't imagine they're going to risk him on quick ground.
Not on the ground, no.
I just wonder if is Special Cadeau not just worth a bit of a swing? If there's only 4 runners, he's going to be the outsider of all 4. But he did have some decent enough form with Mullins. Just wasn't a superstar in the yard, so they moved him on. He's done all right for Henry. That Chase debut, I thought he jumped pretty well.
Well, I could be wrong, because my initial reaction was just to look at him and go, he's not going to be good enough. However, what I would say is Golden Joy was in behind that day. He's come out and won since. No flies on him. We all know what they were trying with that horse, and then it backfired. Birdie or Burst, what did he end up doing? Nothing since. Like, there's one horse I can see in that race that's going to win a handicap chase soon enough. Yeah, do you know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe I was wrong. It's not a great race.
It wouldn't be a massive swing, but you got to look at this horse. His dam was rated 114 on the flat. You know, he's a half brother of 5 winners. There's a nice enough pedigree there. I just wonder if he doesn't even need to be spectacular to win this. And if the Arkle left a mark and this turned into a sprint, I just wonder if this horse might just be a bit of a springer in the market. And Henry might look at this and think, this is a terrible grade 1.
Yeah.
And if nothing else, even if we prove not to have the class, we might finish in the first 3 and pick up a nice check.
Well, there might only be 3 runners.
Exactly.
You may as well just go for it. Special Cadeau is... That can't be right. Lotus Sod 11-10. Only by Night 7-4. Caliph de Burley 7-2. Who in the name of God wants to back Caliph de Burley for any race at 7-2? Gidley Park 5s. Special Cadeau 20-1. All right. I was wrong. 20-1. Might very well be the one of interest. Okay, this is what you really tuned in for. You want final answers for the Grand National. Final answers on Thursday. We'll do some specials between now and then as well with some big name guests. But let's find out who is the final shortlist for George Gorman, Liam Firkin, and Adam Mills, Peter Michael, and the inform Andy Newton. Peter Michael, by the way, is banging in the winners as well, but Andy Newton after his nap and next best, both of them at over 7-1. Each of 2 go and win at the weekend. We want to find out who they like. Your favourite with Jeff Banks' bet is Stumptown at 8-1. I almost feel like I should be going, hold up, wait a minute. Massive gamble on Stumptown suddenly developing. Aroko 8s, Intense Raffles 10s, Aya Maximus, the defending champion, is a similar price. George Gorman, we did the Yes No Game show. It was a big success. Who are you now with for the Grand National?
I think the main play is going to have to be Percival Agawa, who I think, did they say today Mark Walsh is likely to ride him,
yes.
Didn't they? Up £11 for his easy win, the Leopardstown listed handicap. Beat Nick Rocket 9.5 lengths that day, who's £13 higher for winning the Fiestes and the Bobby Joe. So that was a serious effort to beat him off a £13 lower mark, and he's off now. His mark's been minded since he won that competitive listed handicap hurdle at the DRF. I think he's very dangerous of improving for this trip, which he looks likely to do. I think the other sort of fairly obvious one. I'll tell you what. No. I'll give 2 swings. 3-card Bragg is just in at the bottom, I think. Mm-hmm. Only beaten 5 lengths by 254 rated chasers in a grade 2 last time out. Receiving £5 off one of them, running off levels with the other, despite making a bad mistake at a crucial part of the race. He's surely better than the 146, and I think he's bound to improve up in trip. He looks like he's crying out for this. And it's going to surprise no one who watched the Yes No Game show that my third one is Grange Care West. He's a very talented horse who's fought good enough. Well, he beat Hartwood and Corbett's Cross as a novice. He was fought good favourite for the Brown Advisory before going wrong. He's recorded 3 RPRs of 150 or above, and those were on his 3 attempts at 3 mile or further. This shows you he stays. Everything about his running style says he's gonna want further. The stats say he wants further. On a class note, we all know how good Galopin des Champs is at Leopardstown. Only 2 horses have ever got within 5 lengths of him, and they are Fast or Slow and Grange Care West. The last run we found out, I think, subsequently after the Yes or No Game show, was to qualify him for this. He obviously doesn't want 2.5 mile. We all know that, but he's qualified for that. I think he'll improve for the trip, and I think in a match race with them all off level weights, I think he wins. I think he's the best horse here. I really do, and It's a bit tinfoil conspiracy stuff, but I'm very dubious as to why he didn't run in that Gold Cup, and I think he scared the out of Galopin des Champs at Leopardstown, because they knew this horse was only going to improve massively for another 2.5 furlongs.
It's not that mad a conspiracy theory. Like, you could very easily have run him in the Gold Cup. Now, it would have been a quick enough turnaround. Be 20-something days.
He ran before the Gold Cup, over 2-4.
Yeah, but you had a longer layoff a slightly longer layoff. You've run him on the 1st of March as opposed to running him on the, 14th?
Yeah.
So you've got 35 days as opposed to 24, we'll say. But still, I don't think it's that unrealistic to suggest that they decided, let's just make it a little bit easier for Galopin, and then that didn't quite work out. 33-1 with Jeff Banks bet, I believe. Gonna check that again there about Grange Clare West. Oh, price change. 20s. Grange Clare West with Jeff Banks bet. The traders were listening, George. They've taken action. They've taken evasive action. All right, Liam Firkin, we haven't got your shortlist for the Grand National yet. Who do you have as your main play for the Grand National?
It consists of two, and I won't labour on what George has already said, so pretty much copy and paste with regards to Percival Le Gaulois. I think he's got a cracking chance, and obviously reassuring that Mark Walsh is going to be dropped up. Cromwell having a fantastic season. Other selection, however, you're going to have to do a bit of scrolling, I think, Emmet. Last time I tipped a Paul Nicholls horse at a 3-figure price. That didn't get me in any trouble whatsoever. So I'm going to do it again. Obviously, this race has changed over recent years, hasn't it? I do think you need 2.5 mile speed. You look at Iron Maximus last season. Obviously, he took in the Drimmore, won that. And I do think, especially at the early parts of the race, you do need to be able to go a decent clip. Now, this horse is a little bit ungenuine.
No.
He's got a string.
No.
He's got a string of 2s next to his name this season, 2 of which have come in graded company.
No.
He is almost 4 times the price of Brave Man's Game, who he beat off level weights last time out. I think he's a ridiculous price, especially from a place perspective. Hitman at 100, 150 to 1, whatever he's available at. I can see Adam scratching his head and everybody else groaning with discontent. But I played him. I think he's got a decent chance of staying this trip. You don't know until they try it. And he's had a decent season so far. I don't think... I think he can finish in the frame, definitely.
His ability to stay the trip isn't in question. It's they've cut him off.
He's lost his damn mind.
God, you're done. That's it. Get out.
His ability to stay the trip's not in question. It's his resolution that's in question, I'd say.
Get him out of here. Get him out of here. Jesus Christ.
You could say the same about Corach Rambler. He doesn't want to put his head in front. He's
very true.
When he hit the front.
What are you talking about? He won an Ultima. He won 2 Ultimas.
Rambler could breathe.
Yeah. Hitman's won a race before.
Corach Rambler could breathe. He was quirky. Hitman doesn't want to try because he can't breathe. Do you see the difference?
Second 3 times this season.
Yeah.
Okay, the first thing to say is that Hitman is Hitman. That's Hitman is currently trading at 100 to 1 with Jeff Banks bet. So I'm not going to insult anybody who's putting up 100 to 1 shot, but you've lost your damn mind, son. You've absolutely lost your mind.
Mr. Coffey nearly jumped the last in front in the National, didn't he?
Oh, if he wins, yeah, he wins by the length of the elbow. My God, I'll be doing somersaults in my house.
I can see Paul Nicholls now go, that's blown them out of the water. Trainers' Championship is back on. Oh, my goodness. When did he last win?
I think it was at Aintree in a Grade 1 Novice Hurdle, perhaps.
Was it November 2022 at Haydock when he beat the mighty Erne River?
Oh.
Good form line, that, Emmet, yeah.
He's won since. in the 4 years since.
No, he hasn't. No, he hasn't.
Yeah, he's gone
Did
on
he
to
not? He hasn't,
No, he hasn't.
he hasn't won since. Jeez,
No.
I thought he must have picked up a
You're
little
getting
race.
yourself a 20-1 winner if he hits a place. You think it's
Yeah.
completely out of the question. He doesn't finish in the first 6, 7, 8 especially when you get the extra place to
I'll tell you what's going to happen. Who's riding him?
Freddie Jindal.
Okay, Freddie's going to be trying for his life, and he's going to be doing everything. And Hitman's going to just go, "Oh, hello, Mr. Horsey. How are you? You look nice. Do you want to go ahead of me? Would you like to go ahead of me, Mr. Horsey? Oh, hello, Bryony. You're over from France. Do you want to go ahead of me?" Over and over and over again. Listen, if he does it, fair play to you. Fair play to you if he goes and does it. Maybe.
He's obviously very, very vulnerable from a win perspective. It's more really a place angle. I just thought he was well overpriced. Given the fact that he's finished in front of Braveman's game. Braveman's game's like 33s, and people are talking him up as a potential winner of a 4-mile, 2 furlong race. Absolutely not.
Oh my God, I'm starting to feel like I need to back him just in case. Just in case. If you're right, what a dum-dum I look. If you're right, oh my God, am I going to back Hitman in the Grand National? Please, no. Adam, please talk some sense into me.
Yeah. Well, I'll happily lay you 125s, but Mills bet is win only.
I want 1,000 to 1. I want 1,000 to 1.
I'm not giving you 1,000, but I have written. There's an At the Races column coming, looking at some data from Grand National runners, and I did look at Hitman in terms of this kind of like, as long as he's not in front, he's quite good. Because I was at Ascot in January when he sort of looms up, and funnily enough, someone in front of us said, "Here comes Hitman," and my brother nudged me and went, "Doesn't matter." And it was sure enough, he gets the following that. But when he got beat by Teresita, he actually had a faster run-out speed, which is the speed taken 2 seconds after they crossed the line.
Okay.
His record at 3 miles or beyond, he's placed on all 3 starts, including second place finishes behind Shishkin and Jello. I can't back him because I don't like having each way bets where the win part is just gibberish. And I just think that's the kind of thing. But, place only on the day, he's probably going to be 16s for a top 7 finish or whatever. That's not bad, I suppose.
Jeez, lads, he was third in a Ryanair behind Envoy Length. Oh.
He wouldn't be for me. He's just a bit of a thinker, and I'm not really into thinkers. But we shall see as we saw on the Yes No Game Show. In terms of Percival Legawa, I completely agree with everything that George and Liam said. I think we said on the Yes No Show, he's just finally grown up and realised what it is to be a racehorse, and he's got an obvious chance. You can't put anyone off him. My main fancy remains Senior Chief. We're still getting a run. We're 25s. Looking at hopefully having Rachel on board. I have little dreams at night about that Pertemps qualifier in Ireland when I was like, the Charles Burns tactics of make it look good. For God's sake, don't finish anywhere that anyone will notice. Round you go, Rachel. And that was a brilliant ride. Perfect little prep for that. I seem to remember, I think it was Pinot de Rey ran a really big race in a Pertemps. I think it's Pertemps 5.
The Pertemps in Cheltenham,
That looks quite good. I mentioned when we did the Yes No Show, Horonzo Dairy has actually got in the race now. 6 have come out. He's in right at the bottom. If you wanted to have a 100 to 1 swing, he's on his debut for Michael Keeley. They bought him for this. He might be of interest, but my main 2 plays will be Percival Legawa and Senior Chief.
Okay, Percival Legawa and Manila Cocooner. They're my 2. I kind of feel like adding Highland to it, but he's short and Nicky hasn't won the race before. Maybe he's the one who's going to go and do it. I had a very good friend of mine who's really shrewd and knows his stuff and watches this show on a regular basis. He's probably turned off after you said Hitman, by the way. But he was trying. He's not much better. He was trying to tell me Appreciate It. That Appreciate was going to go and do it, and actually, he was bloody impressive against Classic Getaway. So he might be onto something. And he's. What is the price that Jeff Banks is going about him right now? It was big. It was real big. It was at least. I don't want to say a price until I've actually seen it. Can't be that big, surely. This is fantastic, stellar content here. 66 to 1. Appreciate it is. Okay. 100 to 1 Hitman. I feel like I'm not putting a wheelbarrow on him, but I might put the handle of a wheelbarrow on him just in case Liam is sending me direct messages going, I told you, and it's being chopped out as this heroic, we've done it again in the Final Furlong Podcast, another massive prize winner for you, and I didn't have a cent on him. I'd feel stupid. What is the one runner you are the most confident about in the Grand National? George.
Great Fair West.
Liam.
Percival Agawa.
Adam.
Senior Chief.
Manila Cocooner. It's kind of Percival Agawa, but I'll go to be a little bit different. Okay, that's it. Which is the horse you're most confident about over the 3 days of Aintree? George Gorman.
I'm chuck one in the Topham that we haven't spoken about. Rian. Been trying to think for ages. He's a bit of a cliff horse for me. He was beaten a long way by Hartwood in that handicap chase at the DRF last year. He was second to him. I think he was technically rated £1 higher, but ran off £4 lower thanks to Danny Gilligan's claim. Obviously, that horse is rated probably guts of £30 higher now. He was running very well in last year's Ultima when making a race-ending mistake. He ran really well in the Plate this year. Sorry, it was the Plate last year as well. In the Plate this year, he ran well from off the pace, but what often is just a slightly too low jump. He doesn't get very high at his fences, and he just catch one that it delays his progress when he's trying to come from off the pace. And I've been racking my brains thinking, how do you solve that problem? And then I saw him in the Topham. You can take the tops off these fences all day long, and this horse it must be nearly off a career low mark at this point. I think he's off 134, 135. He's handicapped to win a big race. It's just been that jumping technique. Just slows down. He's making ground, but then each time he gets to a fence, he has to slow down. I think this could really, really suit him, and he's 66 to 1. And I think this might be the answer to how do you solve a problem like Rian. Because he came from nearly last to finish 6th in the Plate this year. He looked like winning it when he nearly fell last year. And I say the DRF, that was a huge run in behind Hartwood. This horse has talent. And I think we found this could well be how you fix it, just knocking the tops off national fences.
66 to 1 about Rian. I really like that, George, and it's a really strong case made for him as well. Follow that, Liam Firkin.
Mine will be shorter and sweeter. I made a very good case for him prior to Cheltenham. He wins up the last race on the Friday, Jazzy Matty in that handicap hurdle. He's still really well weighted. And I'll be all over him providing that he's declared.
10 wheelbarrows to win 100 wheelbarrows. Let's go! Adam Mills.
Just the one for me will be Strong Leader. If he rocks up in that 3 mile grade 1, he wins.
Okay. At the prices, I'm very tempted to go with Gosher. For a winner, I'll say Imperial Pass, but for the prices, I think Gosher's a massive price for that grade 1 Novice Hurdle, assuming they go there, particularly on the good ground, being a Frankel improvement to come. Right, that's it. Thank you so much, lads. Really enjoyed this. It was a lot of fun. And hopefully you've enjoyed watching and listening to it as well. We don't really do this enough until the very end of the show when you start to switch off. Hit like. Did you hit the like button? Did you hit the like button yet? It sounds so desperate when you have to do that, but that is the way it is on the old YouTube algorithm. It's a massive help with it. Do hit the like button. Hopefully you've enjoyed the content from the lads as much as I have, and your likes and subscribes to the channel are massively appreciated. From George Gorman, Liam Firkin. Liam, when's your next article for Odds Checker?
We'll be out along with my next Grand National selection.
Okay, you broke up slightly. Is that tomorrow?
It is. Yeah, it is, Emmet, yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so this show might be out on Tuesday morning, in which case you can now go to the Odds Checker website and read Liam's excellent content. When is the next Adam Mills content out on the At The Races website?
It came out 20 minutes ago. There's a review of 4 of the races from Doncaster on Saturday, looking at a few angles, horses to follow, and then there'll be another one on Wednesday, I believe, looking at some runners in the Grand National, including Hitman, actually.
Nice. Okay. Including
Hitman, but I'm not overly positive on him. So just to dump your enthusiasm a little bit, Liam. Sorry.
Can you edit that article and say, despite my friend and colleague's compelling case for Hitman, This horse has no chance.
Well, I could add that in, I suppose, but it seems a bit harsh. And if he wins, then I look a fool. So we'll move on.
That's why I'm saying to myself, maybe I should just put €1 each way. By the way, €1 each way would be about as much as I would put on Hitman. Like, I'm not even sure I want to risk £2 on Hitman, quite frankly. But he made such a bloody good case for him that when the horse then comes and wins, you're like, oh no. I'm like delighted for Liam, thrilled for him that he tipped up 150 to 1 winner of the Grand National, but you're also like, oh my God, he tipped it and I didn't put a cent on him. And I laughed at him. Oh no, I removed him from the chat. What have we done?
Not once, but twice.
Yeah, twice we took him out. It's like, oh no. Okay. Gamble responsibly and all that malarkey. Right. George, is the cheat sheet coming out for Aintree?
Yeah, I'm going to work out how I can do it. I'm going to plough on with it tomorrow. I might have to release it a day at a time. So obviously we've been very, very busy over the weekend. But get onto it. Just DM me on Twitter. I need to work out a way of doing it if I'm going to release it a day at a time. So obviously then it's a sort of nightmare working out who's got which day. But I'm just going to see how much work I can get done tomorrow. And if I can release it all at once, I will. Okay.
George F. Gorman on X. At George F. Gorman. His cheat sheet was gold at the Cheltenham Festival, and he can sort you out with that for Aintree as well. You'll see me Saturday morning on Sky Sports Racing. You can hear me on Thursday and Friday on TalkSport 2. Jeff Banks joins us for a special edition of the Final Furlong Podcast on Wednesday because there's lots of stuff to talk about. We've got a big name guest on the show tomorrow, and we'll preview the weekend's racing, including the final answers, the final answers for the Grand National from Peter Michael and Andy Newton on Thursday's edition of the Final Furlong Podcast. From George, Liam, Adam, and me, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Look after yourself and each other. Go on, Hitman, in the Grand National. Talk to you soon. God bless.
The Final Furlong Podcast is proudly brought to you by Jeff Banks Bet. Get up to £500 refunded as real money for new Jeff Banks online accounts after your first month of betting. Use promo code FFP500 at jeffbanks.bet.